This is Pocket Presence Podcast, your source for every story, stat, and headline across the NFL. On the show today, we will have a 2-round mock draft as well as my picks for the championship games in the NFL. But we're going to get started with the mock draft. And the Raiders at number 1. The last time I did a mock draft, I had the Raiders take a wide receiver. This time, that is not going to be the case. I will have them take Fernando Mendoza. This pick makes the most sense to me, and I think it makes the most sense to everybody. At 2, the Jets. They need a quarterback, but I don't think there's a quarterback that's going to go this early after Mendoza. Mendoza's the number 1 quarterback in this draft. So I can see the Jets going to the defensive line here. D-line. And going with Peter Woods, defensive lineman out of Clemson. They need to keep building up that defensive line, and there's not really any corners I could see going here. I mean, let's look at linebackers, but I don't see an avenue where Arvell Reese. Actually, I'm going to change the pick here. I think the Jets go Arvell Reese, linebacker out of Ohio State. He's the first Buckeye off the board. The Jets need help in the linebacker room, and I think drafting Arvell Reese would do that for them. The Cardinals at 3, quarterback, right, running back, guard, tackle. They are not going to get their quarterback here. I think there's an outside chance Kyler Murray ends up back in Arizona for at least next year. And so the Cardinals are going to take a tackle here, and they're going to take Francis Mayanoa from Miami. And I like the pick. Mayanoa to the Cardinals. The Titans at 4. They have options: running back, receiver, center, guard, edge, corner. And this is a 2-round mock. I'm going to have them take edge rusher Ruben Bain Jr. out of Miami. They need to get help on that defense, especially off the edge. They were horrible rushing the passer last year, and I feel like Ruben Bain would help them tremendously. The Giants at 5. They also need offensive line help. I will have to take a receiver in the second round, most likely. And you see Spencer Fano here is available. He's supposed to go projected at pick 14. This might be a little too rich for him, so I'm actually going to go off the board here. I'm going to go Jordan Tight. I'm going to go wide receiver. I'm not going to go with Carnell Tate, though. I'm going to go Mekhi Lemon out of Southern Cal. I think Mekhi Lemon to the Giants makes the most sense. They've got elite neighbors. Harbaugh likes a big physical receiver, and Mekhi Lemon is that. The Browns at number 6. They are also going to go the receiver route. And I have them taking wide receiver out of Ohio State, Carnell Tate. They need to get a number 1 receiver in there. I'm not trying to dog on Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, but they need somebody that can make big plays, and Carnell Tate is that receiver. The Commanders at 7 need tight end, guard, edge, linebacker, defensive back. Is there any DBs that could go in the top 10? Abney. I don't see where you could go. Any guards? Let's see here. Interior. Yeah, it's too early to go guard. Have them go edge. And I think I'm going to have them take Keldrick Folk out of Auburn. Again, this might be too rich, but I think that this is the perfect pick for the Commanders. They need to keep building up that defense, and they did have some good pass rush last year, but I think they need to add more, and adding Kedrick Folk would do that. At number 8, the Saints. They're going to also go, we're going to have a little run on the defensive side of the ball here. I was going to go Peter Woods at 2 to the Jets. But Peter Woods has made it all the way down here, and this is 3 picks before he's supposed to go. I'm going to go Peter Woods to the Saints at number 8. They need help on the defensive line. They need to get younger on the defensive line, and I think getting Peter Woods helps them get younger at that position. The Chiefs at number 9. Running back, receiver, guard, tackle. I am going to have them take running back out of Notre Dame, Jeremiah Love. They need Isaiah Pacheco has not gotten the job done. CEH hasn't either. Brashard Smith was okay last year, but they need a running back. At number 10, the Bengals are going to take safety Caleb Downs out of Ohio State. The Dolphins at 11 are going to take edge rush. Yeah, they can't. They can't do that. Hold up, ladies and gentlemen. We are having some technical difficulties. There we go. We're back. We're Gucci. The Dolphins at 11. I apologize for that. Are going to take defensive back Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee. The Dolphins need to get younger on the defensive side of the ball. Mika Fitzpatrick's not getting any younger. They had issues at corner last year, and I feel like Jermod McCoy is the perfect fit for them. The Cowboys at number 12 are going to take an edge, and it's going to be I really like a guy like Romello Height, but I think this is a little too rich and too early for him. I'm going to go Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M. I like what I've seen on film from him. I like what I saw in the one playoff game that Texas A&M played in against Miami. So give me Cassius Howell here at 12 to the Cowboys. The Rams at 13. Tackle, quarterback, and defensive back. This is where I have the second quarterback going. Maybe. No, it is not where I have the second quarterback going, actually. I am going to go offensive lineman Caden Spencer Fano to the Rams. They need offensive line, and I think getting Spencer Fano here at 13 is the move. It's one pick before he was supposed to go to the Ravens, and so the Ravens need guard, wide receiver, defensive line. We have another defensive lineman coming off the board, I guess. And Caleb, I don't know if I like this move. Let's see what wide receivers are out there. Jordan Tyson, Denzel Boston, Casey Concepcion. I am going to give the Ravens Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. The Ravens need, and I don't know who their next head coach is going to be yet, but they do need help at wide receiver. Zay Flowers can't do it all by himself. Rashad Bateman's a decently good receiver, but they need a bona fide, solidified number 2 receiver, and I feel like Jordan Tyson can be that. The only reason he might slip outside the top 10 is because of medicals. The Buccaneers at 15 are going to take edge rusher. The Buccaneers have their choice of edge rushers here at 15. They could go David Bailey. They could go Romello Height. They could go TJ Parker. Our Mason Thomas, this might be a little too early for him. Same with Joshua Josephs. But I've seen people put Joshua Josephs in the first round, but later in the first round. So I'm going to actually go with one of the 2 Texas Tech edge rushers in Romello Height. The Buccaneers, like I said, they need help on the defensive. Actually, I'm going to pivot here. There's a linebacker still available. And I think if he's available at this point, you take him. Sonny Styles from Ohio State. The Buccaneers need to find an heir apparent to Levante David, and I feel like Sonny Styles can be that guy. The Jets. The Jets took Arvell Reese at number 2. Now we're going to have them take a wide receiver to pair with Garrett Wilson. And I'm going to have them take Casey Concepcion out of Texas A&M. I kind of questioned his decision to transfer to A&M when he did from North Carolina State, but he had a really good year, and I feel like he's going to fit perfectly with the Jets. Whoever their quarterback ends up being, the Lions are going to take a offensive lineman. They're going to take offensive lineman Caden Proctor from Alabama. Proctor had a good year. The Lions need to get Taylor Decker's replacement because Taylor Decker won't be around much longer. And Caden Proctor is that guy. The Vikings. This is where you might see the first defensive back come off the board. Second defensive back. And I think the Vikings at 18 are going to take Mansour Delane out of LSU. I got the chance to watch this kid when he was at Virginia Tech in 2024. Physical corner, doesn't give up big plays. And I think the Vikings would, whoever their defense coordinator is, whether it's still Brian Flores or whether it's somebody else, they will love them some Mansour Delane. The Panthers at number 19. I'm going to have them go with defensive line here. And I'm going to have them take Kaden McDonald out of Ohio State. McDonald, yes, he's still raw as a pass rusher, but I think Carolina can get the best out of him as a pass rusher. And Caden McDonald and that defense would fit perfect. The Cowboys at 20. Their first pick was Cassius Howell. Now we're going to go to the offensive side of the football, and we're going to take offensive lineman Caleb Lomu. Terrence Steele is not a good option anymore on the offensive line, and I think Caleb Lomu would be the perfect fit on this offensive line for the Cowboys. So you get a defensive guy, and now you're going to go into the offensive side. The Steelers at 21. Is there any good receivers left? Absolutely there is. Denzel Boston, Elijah Sherratt, Chris Bell. I'm going to go with Denzel Boston. Tackle. Yeah, I'm going to go Denzel Boston out of Washington. The Steelers need a number 2 receiver behind DK Metcalf, and Denzel Boston feels like a Steeler to me. The Chargers are going to take the first interior offensive lineman, and it's going to be Vega Ayane from Penn State. This guy's a mauler. The Chargers need offensive line help, and this guy's going to be plug and play at guard because your tackles are set with Alt and Slater. So give me Vega Ayana to the Chargers. The Eagles at number 23 are going to take defensive back. I believe. Actually, they're going to take edge rusher David. Who did we get the Buccaneers? Oh, we gave him a linebacker. That's what it was. I'm going to give the Eagles edge rusher David Bailey out of Texas Tech. He's the first edge rusher from Texas Tech off the board. The Eagles need to get younger up front coming off the edge. They're not young there right now. They need to get somebody young in there. The Browns took Cardell Tate with their first pick. And now we're going to go to the offensive line. And some people will say this is a little too early for a guy like Jennings Dunker. I don't think it is. I genuinely think he is a first round pick. So give me Jennings Dunker to the Browns. They need to beef up that offensive line. And Jennings Dunker is a guy that would fit. The Bears defensive line. I'm going to give them a defensive lineman. I'm going to give them Caleb Banks out of Florida. They need to get some beef on that defensive line. They had a really good season this year, but I feel like they were lacking a good young defensive lineman, and I feel like Caleb Banks could be that. The Bills at 26. I'm going to go. I wanted to go receiver, but there's no receivers left in the first round that could go. So, what about linebacker? Yes, there is. You could go CJ Allen, Anthony Hill. I'm going to go CJ Allen out of Georgia. I feel like CJ Allen, whoever the Bills' new head coach is, they're going to need to draft really good Brandon Beane is to keep his job, and I feel like getting CJ Allen is the perfect fit. The Niners at 27. There's some decently good. There's still some good D linemen left. And Christian Miller's a guy that's starting to get first round buzz, and I think if he has a good combine, there is a chance he goes in the first round. And the Niners need help off the edge. And they need defensive line. They don't need defensive line necessarily, but we're going to go edge rusher for the 49ers with this first pick. And it's going to be Romello Height out of Texas Tech, the second edge rusher out of Texas Tech to go in the first round. D-line. The Texans need D-line, center, guard. Is there any other 42? That's too early for him. The Texans are going to go defensive lineman. Christian Miller out of Georgia. And I like this pick. They need to beef up that defensive line a little bit. They did get a lot of sacks this year, and I think Christian Miller can help them get more sacks next year. The Rams are going to take the second quarterback off the board. It is Dante Moore is going back to Oregon, so he will not be drafted. Ty Simpson from Alabama goes to the Rams to sit behind Stafford for a year. The Patriots, the guard, tackle, edge. And it just so happens that TJ Parker is still on the board, and he falls right into New England's lap. So give me TJ Parker to the Patriots at 30. The Broncos at 31. This is where they do need wide receiver because Cortland Sutton can't do it all by himself, but I think Bo Nix also needs a tight end. So give me Kenyon Sadiq at number 31 to the Broncos. 32. This might be where our second DB comes off the board. Our third DB. It is Avion Terrell going to the Seahawks at number 32 to round out the first round. We get to the second round. The Jets. Their first round, we took Casey Concepcion and Arvell Reese with their first two picks. They are going to get, there's no, do we do it? 84, is there any quarterbacks? I want to give them a quarterback, but the problem is people are going to say, oh, it's a reach. Trinidad Chambliss. I'm going to go and give them a defensive lineman, actually. And take quarterback off the board here. I'm going to give them Armarian Washington out of Oregon. They need help in the defensive line room. So I'm going to give them a defensive lineman in Armarian Washington. The Cardinals at number 34. Again, there's no quarterbacks to me that could go in the second round. The only other quarterback that would have got in the second round was Ty Simpson, who went at the end of the first. Toward the end of the first. So that leaves the Cardinals with options. They need, let's see here. I mean, do they need running back? You've got James Conner. I mean, I'm going to give, you know what? I'm going to do it. At 34, I'm going to have the Cardinals reach a little bit and take Jonah Coleman out of Washington. The Cardinals, James Conner's getting up there in age. They have Trey Benson, but I don't think they want Trey Benson to be a bell cow running back. So give me Jonah Coleman to the Cardinals. The Titans had one first. We gave him Ruben Bain. It's time to give him a wide receiver. And I think we're going to give them Chris Bell out of Louisville. If you saw my video I did on all my wide receivers, Chris Bell is one of the biggest risers And Chris Bell going into the second round is not out of the question. And I feel like the Titans, if they get Chris Bell, they can unlock this offense. The Raiders took Fernando Mendoza at number 1. They have pick number 36 now. And I'm going to give them defensive back Colton Hood out of Tennessee. This feels like a Titans pick to a Raiders pick to me. The Giants are on the board. And we gave the Giants Mekhi Lemon in the first round. Now we're going to go work on that offensive line. Because they do need a tackle. And I'm going to give them a guy that's kind of, he's screaming up draft boards, Austin Siereveld out of Ohio State. Siereveld is a guy that had a really good season at Ohio State this year, and I feel like the Giants would love to have him in that offensive line room. The Texans, who did we have them take? Christian Miller, defensive lineman. I might have them double down on the defensive side of the football, but go a different spot. Yeah, no, never mind. I'm going to have them take offensive lineman Caleb Tierman out of Northwestern. And they can play him at guard. They can play him at tackle. I know it says tackle, but we've seen guys that get drafted as tackles move to guard. And I think that's what the Texans could do with him is move him into guard. The Browns. We had them take Cardell Tate and Jennings Dunker in the first round. Now, I'm going to go the defensive side of the ball for them. And I'm going to go defensive lineman. Ooh, okay, 61, 65. I don't think there's... Yeah, there's no defensive line. I'm actually going to go with... Can we double up on offensive line? Emmanuel Prignoni, guard out of Oregon, going to the Browns at number 39. I told you the Browns need to beef up that offensive line, but taking 2 offensive linemen in this draft helps that. The Chiefs are going to take wide receiver Jeremy Bernard at number 40 out of Alabama. The Chiefs need a good... Rashid Rice is good. Xavier Worthy's good. But you need somebody that can get separation, and Jeremy Bernard can do that. And again, he was one of my top wide receivers. The Bengals. I'm going to have them go. They took Caleb Downs. They need a guard. I'm going to have them, and I know this might be a little bit of a reach, but they need to work on that offensive line. I'm going to have them take center Jake Slaughter out of Florida, and they can move him to guard. The Saints are back on the clock. We had them take defensive lineman Peter Woods in the first round. Now we're going to go wide receiver. Chris Olave is not getting any younger. I have them take wide receiver Chris Brazzell II out of Tennessee. They need to get a big body, somebody that can run routes and run fast in that receiver room with Chris Olave. And I think Chris Brazzell could do that. The Dolphins at number 43. are going to take wide receiver. No, they're not. I'm going to have them take cornerback. Where's corner? Quarterback Brandon Cease. Brandon Cease. Quarterback Brandon Cease out of South Carolina. Again, and we gave them, told you they needed to get younger on defense. They already took one DB. They're going to double up on corner and go Brandon Cease out of South Carolina. The Jets at 44. They've taken Armel Reese, Casey Concepcion, and defensive lineman Armorian Washington. With this pick, I am going to have them take offensive lineman. Or am I? Maybe not. I spoke too soon, ladies and gentlemen. Safety. I'm going to have him take safety AJ Halsey out of LSU. Like I said, yes, I know they have some good safeties in there, but I think they need to get younger at safety, and I think AJ Halsey can help them do that. The Ravens at 45. You're going to have to reach on a defensive lineman here. I mean, Lee Hunter, I'm going to say this. If Lee Hunter has a good combine, his draft grade will rise. So I'm going to have Lee Hunter go here in the second round to the Ravens. They need help on the defensive line. It makes all the sense. The Buccaneers at 46. Tight end, guard, edge, linebacker, corner. They're going to probably lose a couple corners in free agency. I'm going to have them take Keith Abney the second out of Arizona State. Good lengthy corner. I think he would fit whoever the new defense coordinator is for the Buccaneers. I think he's going to fit that system. The Colts are going to take. What do we got at linebacker? Ooh, we got some choices here at linebacker. The Colts have two choices, in my opinion, for two choices for linebacker. Anthony Hill Jr. out of Texas or Deontay Lawson out of Alabama. And I think I'm going to go Anthony Hill out of Texas to the Colts. They need help in the linebacker room. The Falcons. We took. Oh, this is their first pick. I'm going to have them take. I was going to have them take tight end. I'm going to have them take wide receiver Jacoby Lane out of USC. And here's why. You got Drake London. Darnell Mooney's a good field stretcher, good number 3 receiver. You still got Ray McLeod if he hasn't been cut yet. But I like Jacoby Lane. The Vikings are going to take running back Jadarian Price out of Notre Dame. They need running back because Aaron Jones isn't going to get any younger. And they don't really have anybody behind him. I mean, Jordan Mason's, he's okay. The Lions, their first pick, we took offensive line. I think we're going to go defense here. We're going to go defensive lineman. Dante Coloroni or actually, we're going to go Dominic Orange out of defensive lineman out of Iowa State. I feel like this is a better fit for the Lions at 50. The Panthers at 51. We took defensive lineman Caden McDonald. Now we're going to work on that linebacker room and see if there's any Halfway decent linebackers up. There is. Deontay Lawson out of Alabama. They need to get their Luke Kuechly, their new version of Luke Kuechly, and I feel like Deontay Lawson can be that. What do we got left for picks? Oh, so we don't have that many left. The Packers at 52 need tackle, which there is some decent offensive line, defensive tackle, decent offensive lineman left. I mean, that would be a little too early for them. Defense corners. What do we got at corner? Oh, we got some options. I'm going to give him Chris Johnson out of San Diego State. He was one of the top graded cornerbacks by PFF last year, and he's going to go to the Packers at 52. The Steelers at 53. Who did we give them in the first round? Denzel Boston. So we gave him a wide receiver. We are going to give them a defensive back too. It's going to be Chandler Rivers out of Duke. I really like the intangibles for Chandler Rivers, and I think he can sneak into the back end of the second round. And the Steelers, that fits perfect. The Eagles here, guard. Any good interior guys? Connor Law, center. I'm going to do it. Give me Connor Lew to the Eagles at 54. They need to get younger on the offensive line. Their offensive line is not getting younger right now. So give me an offensive lineman for them. The Chargers. We gave the Chargers guard Vega Iona in the first round. Now we're going to help them on the defensive side of the ball. Or do we go and double up? Do we go somewhere else? Keenan Allen might retire. Quentin Johnston's been inconsistent from time to time. I'm going to give him Elijah Surratt out of Indiana. Surratt to the Chargers here at 55. The Jags did not have a first-round pick either. They're on the clock at 56. And they need defensive line, safety. What do we got at safety? I'm going to give them safety Dylan Thiedemann out of Oregon. I don't know how he's made it this far down the board here in the second round. So give me Dylan Thiedemann to the Jags. The Bears also need linebacker help. Is there any? I mean, I feel like that's too rich right now to take Josiah Trotter. Defensive line. Dante Collarine from defensive lineman from Cincinnati. I feel like the Bears, what did we give them in the first round? Did we give them defensive line? We did. I'm going to double up on the defensive line here for the Bears and give them a kid from Cincinnati. The 49ers at 58. We gave them an edge in the first round, and David and Romello Height. Here in round 2, they're going to need receiver, but I don't know if there's any receivers that can go at this point in the second round. So I'm going to work on giving them another edge. And it just so happens that there's 2 guys on the board right now in R. Mason Thomas and Joshua Josephs that would fit with the 49ers perfectly. So we're going to double up on edge for them. Give me R. Mason Thomas to the 49ers. The Texans, we gave them Defensive lineman with their first pick, tackle with their second pick. Their second pick in the second round here. We are going to go with, they don't necessarily need defensive back, but '76. That's Keontae Scott. I mean, I'm gonna go Darrell Jackson Jr. out of Florida State to give them another defensive lineman, because they did take Christian Miller, and I can't really find. Actually, let's go see what we got interior, because there might be Chase Basantes. I can see Basantes moving up into the end of the second round, early third. So give me Chase Basantes, guard out of Texas A&M, to the Texans at number 59. Number 60. The Bills, what did we give them? We gave him CJ Allen. I think we're going to have to give him a wide receiver here. It's going to be CJ Daniels out of Miami. They need to draft a wide receiver. Keon Coleman, yes, he did have a couple good playoff games, but I think CJ Daniels would fit. The Rams at 61 are going to take Keontae Scott, cornerback, maybe. Yeah. Keontae Scott, cornerback out of Miami, is going to go to the Rams at number 61. 62, the Patriots. What did we give them in the first round? TJ Parker, edge out of Clemson. Let's see. What do linebackers look like? Okay, so linebackers off the board. I'm going to give up Joshua Josephs out of Tennessee. They need pass rush help, and Joshua Josephs had a good season in Tennessee, and I feel like he'd fit here. The Broncos at 63. What did we give them? Tight end. They don't need help at running back. I guess I could give them offensive lineman Blake. I'm going to give him an offensive lineman here. Maybe. I'm going to give him tackle Blake Miller out of Clemson. Yes, they do have a good offensive line, but you always need to get young. Your offensive linemen they age, and they don't age. Some of them don't age well. So give me Blake Miller to the Broncos at 63. And to round out this mock draft at number 64, the Seahawks. We had to take Avion Terrell in the first round. So here in the second, I'm going to have him take edge rusher Zion Young out of Missouri. And I like this pick. And there's the mock. Now, we are going to go over and talk about the AFC and NFC championship games, which the NFC championship game is the Rams and Seahawks playing for the third time this year. And they had two good games both times they played during the regular season. And I don't think this is not going to be any different. I think both these teams are going to put on another good game. Give me the Rams to make it to the Super Bowl. Broncos and Patriots. These teams did not play during the regular season. This is the first time they've played this year. Broncos are going to be without Bo Nix. I am still rolling with the Broncos, so give me the Broncos to win. So that sets up a Rams Broncos Super Bowl. And that will wrap up today's show. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day.